Hi guys, and welcome back to another UDK part 2 to the UDK learning tutorial on team organization in white boxes. We're just going to tell this team organization, but we're exploring two things. We covered white boxes in the other tutorial, part 1. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go back, look at that. We covered setting up 3ds Max. Grids and setting up the snaps to where everything sets up perfectly to use inside UDK 1-to-1 ratio. So now we've also exported it, and I'll show you how to export a FBX properly to where it comes into Max comes into UDK correctly from Max. So let's get started. We'll just go here. First thing you want to do when you get started is you want to go into your material editor, go to I've already got a test package set up. As you can see, I got that one set up there. I'm going to go to import, and you'll want to find your folder, which my folder is right here. Export, open, wall 05, make sure you click open, and when it comes up, it's going to give you the package in your wall, and as you can see, it says PH for placeholder, SM for static mesh. Then I have wall and 05. Now this is another naming convention. As you can see, for wall I use camel case. If I'd have said a detailed wall, the detail would have been capital and wall would have been capital as well. That way you can tell the two individual words from each other very easily. This is a sort of a programming code that 90% of all programmers use as camel case on their syntax. PH and SM are abbreviations that you need to use. Now our team will be using different abbreviations in this, so if you're a team member of UDK Learning University ULU, you need to make sure that you check the naming conventions thread on our website. Anybody else can look at it too. It's freely open for anybody to see, but since this is grouping, we're going to name this mesh, because the other one is in mesh as well down here, as you can see. That way the grouping is the same and it goes in the same one. Now let's say we had a material and we wanted to import the material. You'd go down here to click import materials and import textures and import normal maps, and it would import them all and set them up for you. It would set up the materials, it would set it all up for you. That way it all would come in, all the channels and everything. It would set it up pretty much correctly. You might have to go in and do some basic editing and different things like that. Now you can import animations with this, you can import morph targets, you can do 100 different things that you want to do. As you can see, you can go down here and import a lot of things and exclude a lot of things when you're importing. Like, let's say you wanted explicit normals, you could do that. You can change a lot of things on the importing to make sure it imports correctly. Well, anyway, you click OK, give it a minute, and there we go. There's our wall. Now, first thing you want to do before you do anything is you want to save it. You right click and go down all the way to the bottom, click save, and there we go. Now it's saved and we're ready to go. And you also notice the little asterisk is gone here. That if you ever see a little asterisk on the very end of the name, that always means it's not saved and you need to save that package. So anyway, we're here. I'll go ahead and keep it highlighted, minimize it, and we'll drag one out here on the floor. And as you can see, when I dragged it out and dropped it, it is automatically snapped to the floor. I'm going to go ahead and just double this. I've already got my snap set to 8, but we built this on snap 16, so I'm going to put it on snap 16, and you can watch this go. Boom. As you can see, there is no overlapping. Everything is set correctly. I can keep going, do another one. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pull that one over. There we go. Do another one. I can keep going like that and then select every one of them on the bottom and then build it up as high as I want to. I can scale them as I want to. Now that's another thing I wanted to cover. I will be covering in a little bit. What did I just do? Control Control Z. There we go. Now, now that we've got that covered, I'll go over scaling real quick. Let's say we wanted to double, or not double this, we wanted to multiply it by 0.5. Easiest thing to do if you want to do that on that axis is the red axis, which it goes, if I remember correctly, it goes red, green, blue. So you would go 1.5 here, hit enter, and you can see it still snaps. Now if I pick this one and moved it to the other end, it still snaps. And the reason it does is because UDK uses a times 2 minus 1 system that really works well. And when I say the times 2 minus 1, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but I'll get back to that later. We'll cover that in a next one, because when you start getting into the multiplication of it, just remember that when you're doing these down here, it always goes like goes by 1. Whatever the size you bring the model in as, that's going to be 1 on any of your axes. And if you want to increase it by, let's say 16, that's going to be 0.25 added to it. If you want to increase it by 8, that's going to be 0.125. In other words, everything's divided by 2 to be able to get those scales. Like on 96, what I'm talking about is on a 96. Like 96, you wanted to go to 128 would be 0.25. If you take 256 for instance, and you want to go up 16, you know, you would just add 0.125 to the number down here in the box, and that would multiply it by 16, because we're on 16 snaps. If I remember correctly, that's on 96. If I remember correctly. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I'm rambling. Ignore that last section. All right. Now we're here. Let's. I'm gonna Z this out. The scale down. Alright, now we're back to where we started, and I'm going to explain a couple of other things. I think my video is going a little long, so I'm going to end it here, and then I'll have a part 3 on the next one. Thank you, and I'll see you then.